conference as observers. So these are the leaders of 2 Mind and Life organizations. So can I invite Professor Susan Bao to stand up? She is the president of Mind and Life Institute based in United States. And Ms. Amy Varela, can you stand up? She is the chair of Mind and Life Europe. And these 2 Mind and Life organizations have been really a main vehicle that has initiated and developed further and also continue to facilitate important conversations between investigative traditions coming from the Buddhist and contemplative traditions and contemporary science. So I just wanted to acknowledge their presence here. So what I would like to do is to invite the presenters now to take this opportunity to have as much as possible kind of a conversation, as we have now listened to everybody's presentation. So there is a kind of a integrated view or understanding emerging in our brain now. So you can take this opportunity, each of you, to either pose a question to your colleague or to our 2 senior statesmen here, Professor Lee and His Holiness, or you can take the opportunity to, add further where you thought you did not have enough time and you would like to clarify certain points or elucidate certain points that you made presentations. I will leave that to you. So there are 2 microphones on the table. So if you can, anyone, I would like to now invite you. The floor is open, yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Maybe I can start.
Yeah, I think it's on.
Yeah, okay, it will be good opportunity for me. Your Holiness, I really like to know your view from your personal experience and then also the religious. As my question of yesterday, in my presentation, the last page, because you're talking about this, we have this empty space, but I have to put in something randomly. That's what we see in the material we study. When you have a very old empty space and then put in randomly the species of interest, then we get something interesting coming out. Just like Professor Lee said, we are looking for just a space, a room, and then change it and something coming out. So what's your view, from your personal view, of this kind of picture?
Quran kasan di tamche shube kaliya thame tom delia tan kuzudi jakche ri ka shelia ani duten so ndukaliya tongcha swebe na tongcha swebe gen sabaji teje ani namju sabu thyon gudu steza tongcha digi thone ya nega chagyo seres ani kanda changma batakta cha dikdenye na ani kholiya sarbai ke da de khogapshita yo marwas. These are empty space. They kanda jik sarba ke da namkyu thya da del khebaj chimbuch du yo sar tin zam kun ne ta quran dan nang be tong ban ni de le sam dang yo sar ti deba chag medros ta tong ban ni ge ton ne nam sha she go ro ba de ku
ta na ga empty space jik shi de ne ji da ni ko chara mo she ro ba la re na ga du de ta doksin tong bo shi she cho ro re de ba zhe ge de na.
So in fact, when we talk about empty space, again, you have to think in terms of the scale and the framework. So like in this room, we have spaces to move around. So it's an empty space. But then if you probe further, there's a lot of particles still moving in this empty space. So it's not absolutely empty. So the idea of empty space seems to be, adjusted to the framework that we are talking.
So
if we're talking at the level of the atomic level, then each atom is going to occupy a space. So it's not going to allow another atom to take its place. So there is a kind of a spatial occupation of a space.
Di du churu the meeting dongsha mena ya yungu chi turu. Shasma.
Kandislo.
Da the raba jig the kong kangesh mena 아니 듀터로 그게 칸데 할때 그
나래.
가서 톡리 그 지금도 와
나래.
가서 계시는 시리
나.
가서 땡이 토메지 신세로 진짜지 그래서 와또 듀터로 가기 전에 그 지지 패시 토고래 레디네 라베수 그야 고인게 정말 봐
So
저 뭐 먹고 있어요
So the idea of how empty space plays a role in this physical interaction seems to be a complicated one. So if you look at the atomic level, it is conceivable that the particles may knock on each other, but that still does not preclude the possibility of these particles having the space to move around, to express their existence. So the role space plays seems to really differ.
디션이 되죠. 들이 하다 가도 다 실로 내주 장자 셔야 되고 그러봐. 그러봐. 다시 관점 좀 실로 셔야 되고 그러다. 그래서 아주 난게 로스야 되고 또 구두를 셔도 나서 찬수. 마치 주간이야. 됐은가 저좀 뭐 좀 자제 되게 아니 수가 저좀에 삼로 땅 오르스는 삼로 나로 콜로 제사가 다가도 칠로 콜로 매매체 다 삼로 콜로도 고토는 야고리.
So, having listened to all the presentations, these amazing presentations on quantum physics, we were really focusing on the external reality, the materials, the physical world. But we also need to now turn our attention and focus inward. So this reminds His Holiness of one of the attendants from his childhood who would every now and then remind the young Dalai Lama to the importance of contemplation. And he would say that to do contemplation, you have to turn a wheel inside.
자상가. 다 안다 가지고 뒤지 셔야 돼. 뒤도는 저요. 뒤도 셔야 돼. 셔배 셔셔야 뭐도 뭐부 셔셔 말다.
Because from a kind of a larger perspective, all of our quest of knowledge, even about the external world, is ultimately motivated by some experience of human experience. And when we're talking about sentient beings experience, so the experience is really defined by pleasure and pain and neutral experience. Then we are already, the moment we bring the question of experience, we're talking about a being, a subjective being, a creature.
As I already mentioned, the Western psychology, they mainly refer sensorial level, not mental level. Then these are the feeling of pleasure or sort of
Pain.
Because of pain, related with mental level, not sensorial. Sensorial just bring information. The real sort of experience, mental level. So now I think I already mentioned, you see, because of among the scientists, many scientists, especially brain scientists, you see, they do not sort of accept the existence of mind,
Consciousness.
sixth mind, beside brain. So now, obviously, according to the Indian tradition, and also some Chinese meditator, and Japanese meditator, Vietnamese, Korean,
So we have, cases where meditators are able to remain completely single-pointedly absorbed in a state of mind for, more than an hour at a time.
Oh, one of my friend, American, he, you see, can stand still mind.
Single-pointed alone.
Or single-pointed mind, and then mind, you see, not attracted, not follow the sensorial sort of experience, just mind. So he can remain there 3 hours. Then when you see he fully concentrate about 3 hours, then some deeper experience also now arise. So these are something living thing, something true, and not just the
So we don't need to invoke the stories about great masters of the past that may have lived 1,000 years or 100 years ago, but these are phenomena of our time.
So, and also I think I already mentioned Richard Davidson the day.
So His Holiness already mentioned the American scientist who has initiated a project to study the Totem Phenomenon, which is the phenomena of a person remaining in a state that is beyond clinical death, but with the body fresh.
So, and then some people remember past life. Ada Koyalia, ada American ada Kare, the New York, the Kangwachi new Chictor.
September 11th. Twin Towers.
Twin Tower.
No.
Channel, to do Shishibu, Michi, or Puguchi, to do Kandikandis, she was accept.
So recently, His Holiness heard of a case in America where there was a child who can recall quite vividly the experience of dying in the September 11 attack and the destruction of the Twin Towers.
Among Tibetan also you see there are, and some among Indian also. Now later, I think I did not sort of the contract, but otherwise, one occasion I met one girl, I think 6-year-old from Bodhiala. That girl very clearly remember about past life. So on, there are, I myself, you see, met, you see, some children who have clearly remember about past life. So my own case, I think when I was very young, you see, seems to see there are some memory about past life that my mother told me. Then getting, because older, all this memory gone. That also we can say the very young age, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, the new brain not yet fully developed. At that time, the vague memory about past life still, because of that, can be more active. Then this new body, new brain, you see, further develop. Then these sort of memory eventually disappear. So recently, I met one of the Totem Phenomenon in city, Jiang Xingru, Rangi Xingru. So, so last name around the Ganden Chenche, Pamachi Umta, Ngadu two. And Koran, dealing it just matters, and show the Alhozarchin. Muge Gande Combat Tuning, then come with prayers. Any Shazil to the city, that me Chong come with an le charms dinner and make you love. How limited Ratchorisha.
So there was recently a case of a young Tibetan boy who was...
The Casidra, that he was raging at the tooth. Nipista Yosachi Ninja. That young is Tingusi, Tingusa, that Taviajan and Robert Chavez.
So there's a case of a young boy who was recognized as the reincarnation of a senior Tibetan teacher at one of the monasteries in Ganden. And was born in Tibet, and actually as a child said that I need to go back to my monastery So when they took him to the monastery Ganden in Tibet, he said, not this one. So the one in India. So they brought him, and as they reached the outskirts of the monastery, the boy was able to point which part of the monastery, that where he's from, and also went to the room of the past master, and opened one of the drawers and said, those are my glasses, reading glasses. Did you look at you? About 4 or 5, yeah. And then, so His Holiness was saying that recently he met, now he's a young man. So His Holiness asked him, do you still have faint memories of your past life? He said, no. So I said, well, welcome and join me.
There's no way to preserve that?
Some my friend meditator. When they meditate, the single-pointed way about the mind, sixth mind, then gradually the grosser level of mind become
thoughts. They dissolve, yeah.
More weak. Then some sort of memory about past life. Then sometimes you see appear. One of my 다 고찬 민찬도 가우치 어디 가다 공아진데사 가 말해 지금
보고 말와
아
뭐가 말와
말해 쟤는 어디 아주 들은 거죠 디다 디겐다 가서 라마치기 그 집을 라마 갔어 그게 그런 지겨를 쇼소를 저 그게 잘 좋냐 천근 천근을 붙이기 양라래 여기서 그렇게도 쉬어지고요 이제 시험지기 로마래 많이 좀 자세히 그 말에 배달 지기냐 그것인데 지그리 어떤데서 님 급지 뭐랑 집에 제시도 곰 곰 때문에 엔드도 지기 라메 지 거진 제수잖니 아니 대부 숙진 시제는 진짜 시간이야 곰로도 로 대지도 전에 경험만 자연고 있어 저장고 그 로또스 그게 가서 그게 내셔 땜부체 아니 라벨로디 대부 숙하고 쉬우시지 미주 쉬었어 대부 숙하고 쉬우시지 있는 전에 로라버트 또 스마 숙초는지 된지도 안에 차열로디야도 레윤도 아니 경험을 전도시 그런 항상 하대 그 지금 아시는 말이
So His Holiness, one of his friends, a colleague, a Kagyu master, I don't know. So one of his colleagues, a close friend, a Kagyu master, shared with him that, once in this person's meditation, he was able to go very deep into a meditative state, inspired by the recollection of the kindness of his guru, and that led to a very devotional experience in his mind, which then allowed the mind, the everyday mind, to really kind of, still and quieten it. And then after that, when he was able to remain single-pointed on this, it's as if the grosser thought processes come to kind of, quieten and remain still. Then there were moments he could actually have, some memory, kind of, glimpses coming from his past life. So he actually shared that experience directly with His Holiness.
Yeah. He very honest. So I don't think he would
tell
telling
a
lie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some lamas, there is danger to telling lie.
Okay. the cover there. Is it on? Can you? Yeah.
Your Holiness, I have 3 questions, 1 from me and 2 from friend Miss Lai. The first question is that this few days we talk about a lot on this superposition principle. So I was curious that when you do meditation, I mean analytical meditation, does this quantum physics viewpoint help you to do, mechanism meditation? And the second question is that this meeting, do you think the meeting reached the original goal you expect? The third question is that after the meeting, do you have any suggestion to, or expectation for this Chinese scientist community? Okay, that's my question.
좋습니다. 당부디 단다 quantum 기토네 다시 해봤다 가서 니만 가시 주시로 봐. 이 quantum 기토 저때 양고전 랑게 냠 가다 냠시에 나올이야. 제고 못들이야. 미세 토벤 소유나 맨나 간데 되버 가다 자고 나서죠.
My daily sort of practice is meditate on shunyata, kungshin.
Emptiness. Yeah.
That's a very important part of my meditation. And then altruism. 딱한다 벽에 actually 동닉 다다 장주 셈을 내배 냠ling 티리. 전에 간다다 식사한다. 남시人좀 직접도 된지 밀로 통 3년에 니시 유진 전당 군증은 대세다 잡아서 와서 상 리롤리도 찍었다. 라라브라 요마다.
So the heart of my daily meditation practice really consists of 2 main themes. One is the cultivation and deepening of my insight into the teaching on emptiness, the shunyata. The other one is the cultivation and the further development of altruism, the bodhicitta, which is the aspiration to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings, grounded in a universal compassion. So those are really the 2 main, focus. So with respect to emptiness, there is an important passage in Tsongkhapa's short text called 3 Principal Elements of the Path, where Tsongkhapa talks about how when you reach a point where without, interruption, if you are able to recognize the essential empty nature of whatever you are observing with a simple awareness of their dependently originated nature. So in other words, the mere perception of the phenomena as a dependent phenomena, dependently originated thing, immediately give rise to the awareness of their essential empty character. So at that point, the analysis, the path of analysis, the journey of analysis has reached its culmination. So His Holiness was saying that he feels he's getting there, so getting close to it.
그 따와 차라전다 가정 건지 차라요. 따뜻이 쉬우진 내가 저버려셔. 사이네 그게 능düny네 그 시선나오는 시 때문에 삼어지기 삼는 게 맞아요도 와. 그 땡지 밀로 통연도 전에 다 가다 시한다 뜨는 조마도 마도 랑 좀 되는지. 다 디시도 패는 지기요래. 아니 유로 가르슬라나 다 대남식대 남제제배 남도유와 모인식 대대셔도 주고 직전 작별관에 여와 있어야 돼. 다 명성 다좀사고 딱딱한 거 되기도 와.
So
다디 다하스 디께서 말해. 저기 떠르고 계시고 말해. 다 되게 뭐서라. 아니 취미식 남도 돼야 돼. 가서 걸어봐. 컨트라피스톤에 취미식 남도 돼야 돼. 그 숙청주의도지. 다 세리부터네 가시지 통제요래. 저단다 되는데 최첨지 나왔다도 던지 뭐는 줌매도 지금 타 쇼인도 전에 저기 취미식 남도디 숙청도 되기디 로데도 디슈 출심의 경기 차단 걸로 디디 숙청주의와 서비스하래 Any chakdang gain to the Nekanda, charging Nanga Sag, Nzinko Shusham Shushari. The Nzinko Cho Nine, Nzin Gopchashung and Cho Nidua. Damido with diet on the summertime to the Neko Nzin Jikshu. Any Dr. Shenji together, Yanda Jawa Majana. And Sanji to me, Koana, Dewa Messini, Tachik, Ranjin, Gyan, some down in the Koya, Sagolo, Shuksung. Shujpendo.
So,
Jasan, you can do Use, Singing Sigari. Now, Ume Tawada, Jujun the Sung Sheve, Takin Chanjuk Nivuti, Singing Shevina, Tende, no more to down to it, tended to.
So earlier I forgot to point out one fact that is Holiness was citing from Tsongkhapa's text, which involves the idea that when you reach the culmination of your inquiry, then all basis for objectification comes to an end. Because we have a tendency generally to grasp at things, to seek something that is congruous, something that is out there. But when you reach the culmination of your inquiry through the logic of emptiness, there will be no basis left at all for objectification. So now, all of this, then Tsongkhapa goes on to say that when you have that kind of understanding of the world, then the very world of appearance will remind you of their essential empty nature. Because in our naive, realistic view of the world, we tend to believe in the apparent world. We tend to go after the appearance. But through this kind of, analytic thinking, you come... Okay. So then you immediately recognize that there is a... So normally we chase after the appearance. We believe in our perception. But with this kind of logic, you immediately, the moment you perceive phenomena, you immediately are aware that there is a disparity between our perception and reality. So you don't believe in the appearance. So in this way, the appearance itself reminds you of their essential empty nature, so that the appearance and reality really come to be united. So there is, no gap. And the power of that is then it will really help you sort of, undercut the whole psychological process that normally give rise to our negative reaction to phenomena. Because generally, if you examine when we relate to the world, because of the fixation on some kind of objective or reality out there, we tend to grasp. And this grasping then give rise to false projection, false kind of, conceptualization. And this false conceptualization involves attributions of, quality on the phenomena, which then give rise to our reaction based on either attraction or repulsion, manifesting in the form of attachment or aversion. And then it opens up the whole chain. So whereas if you do this, process of thinking through emptiness, you remove the basis for any false projection and false conceptualization, which then, leaves no basis for the strong emotional reactions to arise. So that really seems to be, so in this context, at least with relation to the physical things, quantum thinking will really help. Because quantum will, mechanics picture of the world will show that the physical world is more complex than we tend to naively assume. So therefore, less basis for grasping. So in this area, as some scientists point out, there is a possibility that it can lessen your tendency to grasp. So, and it will be really helpful. So now, what you need to do is you need to combine that with bodhicitta practice, so generally what happens is that a lot of our problem really comes from strong clinging to a notion of self, I. And there seems to be two ways in which you can undermine this, knock at it. One approach is the emptiness approach that we just spoke about. The other approach is really to look at, how self-centeredness leads to all sorts of problems, and how we open up our view and perceive others in a different way. So this is all the teachings that we find in Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avatara, And if you sort of that involve meditations of exchanging and equalizing self and others. So if you combine the emptiness, practice with the practice of, exchange of self and others, which is an altruism practice coming from Shantideva's text, then you really have a powerful practice. So, and therefore, in his own daily, everyday practice, one of the most powerful sources of inspiration is the following passage from Shantideva's text, where Shantideva makes the aspiration that as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to help relieve dispel the sufferings of the world. So, this particular verse, has a tremendous power of inspiration. So therefore, even though if the scientists are right and the world is going to, the humanity is going to disappear from this particular planet in 80 years, but there are other universe systems, and my hope is that I'll be in those universe systems still serving the needs of other sentient beings.
Yeah, the kangaroo so you does the cow chicken at Kazakh. I did it with 60. Oh, the did it with tick. Dane June using the Tatawal meeting she. Lixon didn't go into Yamawa and maybe you, Sajava. Kangaroo Sony, that Galia Tuni Tawal, but Piggy Tonal Leia the kangaroo Sony getting in, Baker the Chawi, Chawe, Stari, hard leverage. 제 개인가 디스무스팅기 때니중에 주제 이제 타다와라 미든시 릭순디는 근육이 마와라나 매베 교스는 소야디 때니중에 주제 이제 타다와라 미든시 센서디 꼭 하고 싶을 때 순기 저상가 나가 당연히 과대도 말다 다 배질로 동리다 삼단에 로든주 신샤 다 개 가서 그게 난된전에 지 니지신도 다 동리 삼다 전다 배설로 먹주시면자 지도다 어떻게 쉬어야들이 넘시는 저 버치 던데 물로 통해서 ng신 주다 군징을 사디 과로 거로를 인도잖아 디강에 주는면도 다 안돼 가사 때는 중에 주전지 아니 때네 시산에 아니 찬다 가래 땅듯이 중세되기 찾았어요. 저장가 동원이 있어야 돼. 고불로 주고 타전 송사를. 대신적으로 주면 수신이 가사 고불로. 대신적으로 주고 되는 동원이도 시. 되는 때에다 와도 되니 우면라면 있는 송샤다 되기. 싸우 쉬리셔. 생각이 시도 쪼쪼식이 되었다. 다. 아든가 고음시라 요 말이 심지식이 공론수에 계면 누가 다 공론매상 제식외도 요 말이 실 제식외 공을 걸어주는 천들의 졸람 토명에서 뭔가 저기요다. 그래서 돈이 공중 토에 있는 졸람 토고로 봐. 대지 졸람. 자주선 배시요. 걸어요. 저들이 인도 대지 졸람이.
So this reminds His Holiness of one of his attendants at a very early age who was assisting him in his studies, in the philosophical studies, and a particular person by the name of Ngudup Sonyi Tsenshab. He was really, the most important person at the time with respect to, awakening
He's
interest.
Inner Mongolia. His native place is Abak, part of Inner Mongolia.
So he was
top scholar.
So he was the person who really made a huge difference in awakening in His Holiness, a deep interest in Nagarjuna's philosophy of emptiness. So this, Geshe, a scholar, used to say, he would cite a passage from Tsongkhapa. There is a praise to the Buddha for teaching dependent origination. The passage says that the statement that, because of dependent origination, one will not fall into any extremes. And this is the truth that you have taught. And that is the best way of praising the Buddha. So that is the passage. So I'm just paraphrasing the translation. So, and Ngurub Tsonyi would cite that passage and tell His Holiness when he was young, saying that the first two lines, it's a tough one. I still can't get it. So His Holiness was saying that, so over a period of 60, 70 years, since he began taking serious interest in Nagarjuna's teachings, philosophy, and now, when he remembers that statement and looks at that particular passage, he could boast and say, that doesn't seem to be that hard now. So, the sondu de toma miyu gongshe da miyu tu tu shonyonas ne sumba de maung bal da ne ba jari tsenre buzolya turul karyonas.
Very good.
So I'm the second question and third, yeah.
Now, like the importance of environment, as you Kasoda explained this morning very detailed, and then also the other speakers. Now these are, I think, it's very important. You see, some kind of warning, not a political reason, but as a result of study, investigation, give some kind of warning. Very good, very useful. Now, one thing not very clear, that is a quantum, the person who truly believes, you see, nothing exists as appears. You see, that some sort of the impact in our the kasoda 타지도 상보다 타지도 내버려 되는 차단 걸로 야 될 수준이 되었으니 아주 더 산다. 그것도 쉽게 중요한 말이다.
So one thing that from His Holiness's point of view we would like to see further kind of discussed is the impact one's understanding of the quantum physics might have on one's perception of reality and its implications for one's tendency to look at things in black and white terms, sort of our tendency to be absolute in relation to things.
So that part reserved for future discussion.
Yeah.
And then, as I already mentioned, you see, the scientists from the West, wonderful, really wonderful. But then, you see, their whole culture is very much related with concept of God, creator. In Asia, not that. See, something, some sort of Indian tradition clearly mentioned self-creation. There's no creator. So therefore, all the responsibility is on your own shoulder. So training of mind becomes very important. It is not sufficient just to pray as a Buddhist, pray to Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Buddha himself, so
Buddha himself made the following statement, that the Buddhas don't wash away the negative karma of sentient beings, nor can he transplant his own realization in others. It's only by showing the truth that he himself have found to others, he can lead them to freedom. And then Buddha also made the statement that you are your own master, you are your own savior.
So training of your own mind is the key thing. It's a many Tibetan and some Chinese also. You say, Amitop, Amitop, Amitop. All responsibility put on, because Amidawa. Oh, Amitop, Amitop, Amitop. Many Tibetan also you say, Kunjo Chen, Sem Chongda Sha Kishkim Kunjo Rangachi Nangi Kunjo Chen Sabji.
So same thing with Tibetans, they often give the impression that they place all their trust in the 3 jewels as if they don't have to do any work themselves.
Like that. So this, I feel, is more easier discuss with Asian scientists. You see, your mind in deeper level, not fixed, creator, absolute. I think yesterday I mentioned the Father Wen Golosung.
Father Wen,
One, my great friend, Catholic monk, Father Wen, now no longer passed away. So, and many occasions we discuss about, you see, how to develop compassion and also understanding impermanence. These things is common. So we discuss. Then one day he asked me about the emptiness, kungxing. Then I respond, don't ask that, that is not your business. Oh, because you see, according to the kungxing, nothing independent existence. That theory might hinder single-pointed faith, creator absolute. So I stop. Don't ask that. That's not your business. Like that. So that is
for Asians, this is not an issue.
And then also, one time I asked Father Wayne, if you accept previous life, what is the
theologically speaking, what is the problem?
Then he said, no, you can't. Because this very life created by God. So you see, in a deeper level, you see certain religious sort of concept, you see little differences. According to theistic religion, creator. The non-theistic, no creator. So it makes differences. So I really very much enjoy talking or discuss with Asian scientists. Really. Our talk, even I think, help you see to reduce the conviction, Amitov. Deeper.
So then that's not a problem. It's okay.
I do have a question.
Oh, yes.
When I was young, my mother asked me to kill the chicken for the new year. So I have to give the prayer. So I'm sorry that you are going to die, but hopefully next generation you are born in a rich family and we have a better life. So I have to repeat this, and every time because my mother didn't want to kill any chicken, so I have to do it. So my question is the following. You believe in the previous life and the next life. Is that important for humanity to survive on the surface of Earth? If 1,000 years later, a monkey take over, or other species take over, would that concern you? Or is it important for humanity, human being, to continue to...
These are... No, I think we are not talking just this world, this planet.
So multiple world systems, according to Buddhist cosmology, in fact, talks about countless world systems.
끼고 가야도 마음 주이센. Did this subject what
So this reminds His Holiness of a senior monk from the Namgyal monastery. He was the ritual assistant, and as he was beginning to hear more about the modern reality and the contraception issues and so on, so one day he shared with His Holiness, he was a little concerned. He was saying that it looks like the chances for being reborn as a human is getting less and less because people are using contraception. So His Holiness was saying that his thinking was just too narrow. There are other world systems.
자물은디 요소 동 사수네 가서 현재 예요.
So even if our current, present universe come to an end, there will be other world systems.
Yeah.
그래서 뚱니 주도 시험에는 지가 통화하면 지가서
친부동문이야.
가. 그래다 간다 통화도 타면 돼. 저자가 드디 인도산에 다지 심제 세베 다 가고 싶어래. 심제 저자고지 타이 계획 다 용도래. 다 심제 지용 시험에 있나? 전다 장면랑 자기면랑 저러 봐. 다지 자기면만 가르쳐 주버려서나 지도 거버 근전이 야마 다 정신도 저디가.
So from the Buddhist point of view, actually not only is the universe systems understood to be countless, also sentient beings is understood to be countless. So we can speak of a beginning of a life, an end of a life, of a specific, life cycle, but one cannot speak of the beginning and the end. So it's a sort of a countless systems. So there is no beginning when it comes to universe, and there is no end. One can talk about a specific universe beginning and end.
So
and 먼저 이제 류입에 그도 지금 급 입에 나올이야. 통화 매스 콜. 그래. 통화 타면서.
타면.
가.
라림.
So when you see the global warming, which hurt the poor people for the next generation, then I would say that we should do our best to prevent giving such a difficult time for the poor people in younger generation. But in the long run, on the other hand, you talk about humanity will disappear, and lots of people said, who cares? Dinosaur disappears. Humanity might disappear also. So
God will take care.
So there's some discontinuity between protecting the next generation and then what happened to the foreign generation.
가자.
대 고유의 내주도로 삼시당백업에 초진 우주기 잡시 무지만년 바디 로봇체 개침 차고로 야 야체선 사면 되고야 포장을 돈에 시행 되고 남시질이야 로미 상만 매부 차야 시행 되고 대양 급가실이야 총계도 버지 견다도 버지 통해기 뜻이 연구도 섬이가실.
Every sentient being, you see, they have the mind. With mind, feeling there. So, joyful feeling and unhappy feeling there. That's the really mover, whole evolution take place because of that. So,
for survival.
Yeah. Those are evolution.
So this is how evolution of life is driven.
So therefore, the every sentient being, you see, loves or loves their own life, love to oneself. So therefore, the insects, they have not much intelligence, so they do not know their long-term consequences. But only human species, this special brain. So we have the ability to think century after century or millennia.
Millennium.
Like that. So then, see some of our way of life. And once, because of the single-pointed, short-sighted, just a material development, and not much concern about consequences. So therefore, now, like you and those scientists I already mentioned, you see, make clear if present sort of situation goes continuously, or we will face some extra problem. Then now, poor people, richer family, they have all facility, air condition, everything. Poor people very much depend on just nature. So the world temperature increasing, then these poor people suffer most. Richer family, in any way, they can manage. So the gap rich and poor, not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. The majority are poor people. So if the majority really face some problem, then few handful, the billionaire or millionaire, they also suffer. So therefore, we need a sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings and concern about 7 billion human beings. If we really, you see, take care about 7 billion human beings, as human brothers and sisters, I think much problem, including ecology, these things, can reduce. So century old, we only, you see, think oneself and their family, their community, their nation. Like that. So these things are not creation of nation, but creation from here. So we have to talk more about here, not external things.
I agree. I'm also curious. You smile at me, so I smile at you. And my wife will be happier when I go back home. She said, well, now I can smile better after meeting you.
Actually, one sort of story. Called me the Haza. I'm saying which America saying which. Could them do no longer use.
Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman.
Paul Ekman.
Yeah.
Now they told me, because a dog is in Luncheon Lama Chassa. Ajitigi, Charles Jewish Cares.
So this reminds His Holiness of a story of one of the very senior scientists in America. Is expert on emotion by the name of Paul Ekman. So Paul had participated in one of the Mind and Life dialogues, and at that time he interacted with His Holiness, and he generally had a problem with anger, the regulation of his anger. But he said after that 5-day interaction with His Holiness, he went back, and for about an entire month he did not lose temper. So his wife was very impressed. So, you have really changed.
That's great.
Did much tell you already? Miss some Busdor, Chigavina, Tangazude, Chiga, was it daddy or Chigdation, Archas or Chingam Rashas or Game Meadows, that is something good.
So that's true, because sometimes, people tend to get so caught up in their own anxiety and stress, which is focused on a very narrow view of their life. When you are able to participate in an experience like this, where there is a genuine openness, a space is created, and when you get an experience where you let down your guards, you don't have to be hyper vigilant and be stressed, that experience really opens up a possibility of experience.
all the magic you do shit turning.
And all of this, His Holiness was saying, that he would say arises from a recognition of shared humanity.
If you smile at the dog learn how to smile back at you.
The kilpa the zuba chebe na zuba tembe na king on it to smile to tapshi yonas.
그래서 개무게하다 개가 버데 이니 슈구유구다.
So I don't think they're capable of smiling, but they will really wag their tail much better.
And then they licking.
And then they lick.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
I think except the mosquito, I don't know whether they have the ability to show appreciation. So many times I expressed this one time, Oxford, when I talk in the front line, professors, many professors there. I asked them, which level of
What
brain?
size? What size of brain? Yeah.
Oh, which level? Oh, brain have the ability, appreciation. So nobody answer. So the reason is like a mosquito seems to say no ability to appreciation. Other animal, yes. If you show affection, they also respond.
Yeah.
Yes?
So I think unless you have a question, yeah, you've been waiting there.
Yeah, as a researcher, and if we want to conclude something, we always need to repeat our measurement using different samples and even using different techniques. And finally, we can publish the work. But for this work to be recognized, then it has to be repeated by people, researchers in other countries. Okay, so your examples about, say, past life, something is very interesting, but I just don't know how to repeat this type of evidence, and so that we can make this a very rigorous statement. So can you comment on that?
Review and repeat repeat evidence 지금 예수 랍샴 지고 뱅겨 말 신다죠 그 제바제베나 좀 다가라니 고거와 대사 더 리피트 제고 뒤가라 근데 내가 또네 텐당 원진 제제 좀인데 참아 지게 얼어서 단데 대체를 도나 제베나 단단 정부 제가나 얘기 개원같이 그 용어 되기디 대체 돈 어제 제베나 에너지 새 돈에 세제 세리 그다 텐다나 신기 루트에 탐문데 가려요나서 탑람 가려요나서 다지 프루프다 되려나 야고 미소 직 이제 제야다 도나체들 개발도 그랬어
다지도 서로 또 자셔보다는 배는 지리지 감디 가설려야지 동백개와 차백개와 내백개와 집백개와서 열어
그래
다 도신 시전에 왜 심지어 타협지 다 직다 간다 이해되지 다 디도도 쉐이드 전에 탈 파파 또 이전에 배지 배나 강버지게 미시 강버디는 되게 미시 예배 있잖아요. 그 강버지가 어려다. 재산가 벤진 잡으르지. 강도 긴줄기 샘센지 예배 있잖아요. 디지둥 레게 왕게 단 점물인디 차. 너지인디 차. 다 디도 선삼시부 단 직지주잖아요. 아니 가다 가서 우리 그게 심지어는 토마메드 다류 토마메드 말로 봐. 다 된대기 더네 겨워 통험해봤다. 그래서 저도 패시 줍도 그래. 다가는 중국에서도 겨워 정해요래. 진짜 중국요래. 간다지 겨운 것이 캐말하나 야는 지도가 봐도 그래. 야는 규미게임을 좀 시작하래. 진짜로 리뷰도 와. 시작하선 연관해서 저제다. that's a possibilities 카시 주베이나 the possibility 메른 거도 스자바자바시나 겐도 유도시 대 차이는 자네다 겐도 뉴먼티 possibility 다 캘린저로.
So in the classical tradition, the proofs for something like the pre-existence comes from many different angles, one of which is the larger picture of the evolution of the world systems that we spoke about today, that how universe goes through a period of emptiness, then formation, then for a long time it remains, and then destruction, then repeats the cycle again. So from the Buddhist point of view, all of these universe systems are connected with sentient beings who would later inhabit these universe systems. Then the question is, how do we understand the evolution of life or evolution of consciousness, which is the defining characteristic of sentient creature? Then you have two choices. One is to say, go to the theistic route, to say that everything is created by prior design, or go to the other route, which is to say it just comes spontaneously. There is no reason. Both of these possibilities are fraught with logical problems. So then the conclusion is that one needs to at least account it on the basis of a causal principle. And then you look at what the causation is. And so it's a sort of a, it's a cumulative, approach, which really is seen as a proof or evidence.
So that the 기지기지기도 지괴다니 그다 그 주주요도는 그 기지기지 지기 어렵다. 저는 줄을 약하서 럽차리 진지진다 년龄주. 자 친구 아니 두 참을 내게 되지 그 년龄 샤고 요인도잖아. 너가 뭐 동네 너 치면 마셔봐 바라리네 스페이스 파티클도 와. 너 치면 차야. 대 균을 토마샤도 말해. 그 제균서를 시험이나 토마샤도 말해. 그냥 아주 류샤샤네. 그 디제주 참여관의 친구이나 동백 개별 그도네. 아주 다다한테 다대한테 류지 두야기 년龄이 그 두준이 예브래. 토마샤도 말해. 자, 근데 나 시바세티. 세상 직성부 등이 숙지면 되지. 누가 다대? 나디 그 교주야래. 집에 다니래. 거의 교를 때는 요래. 근데 인데 년龄이 줘도 해지해진이 줬어. 다 년齡이 줘 sometimes 그 직성을 좋아라. 또 sometimes 시바로 토마샤나 녀래요래. 그래서 수정이 쉬어 토마샤고 주나? 애는 그 뒤밀이 좀 쉬어래. 딱배줄 좀 쉬어래. 애는 양은 군조 서비스. 애는 요함에 뵙게 메다뵙게. 애니 가서 뉴리 견신 견송던 쉐고도.
So now with respect to say the physical body, we know from so from the Buddhist point of view, the body that we have, if you trace its origin, even though this body was born in this life, but the physical composition, the element that compose the body, you can trace it all the way back to the beginning. So from the Buddhist cosmology point of view, it's the period of empty stage where there are space particles. So there is no beginning, even to the physical continuum of the body. Then when it comes to consciousness, now, and
at the time, there's a whole universe, one particular universe, completely disappear. The space particle there. So today's our bodies, so subtle level continuation already there.
With respect to consciousness, then yesterday we spoke about, as part of the causation, you have causes and conditions. Conditions are commonly shared.
Now today, the Guruji's knowledge become limited. The student of ancient Indian Guru, including myself and many monks, over 10,000 monk students here in India, and also Tibet, I think several thousand carry study these things. Not just read once one book, not that way. You see, over 20 years, rigorous study. So now today, in a way, unfortunate, your chela become
Your student now.
more knowledgeable. Guru, not much knowledge.
So I think on that note, we will probably close. And I would like to invite our senior statement, Professor Lee, to make your final thoughts that you can share with us. And then after that, I'll invite His Holiness to offer some concluding remarks.
Well, the last 3 days, it's been a wonderful experience for all of us. As we know, scientists look at the evidence and try to do many things and see whether it's true or not. But as His Holiness said, sometimes time continues. So you want to repeat the experiment, like repeat the experiment that you are in existence. You have to trace back time to set the initial condition. It's not there. You won't be able to prove that you are here. And I did open my mind quite a bit coming here, because when we talk about quantum effect, we take a matter. All the matter have wave natures, except when the particle becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, then the wave nature starts to show. So quantum mechanics is needed to describe the law of those motions. A heavier particle, wave nature is not important. So classical physics, classical mechanics is sufficient to do it. And of course, in human body, it's a big classical things. But every molecule is a quantum mechanically manipulated, operated. So there's quite an interesting transition. And I still have lots of questions about the mind, because many of us are so-called absent-minded professor. The mind is separated somewhere.
Absent-minded professors love to go temple lot in Sigorwa. Then I could young Kodan Chilia, Cerebus Manguchi, Shiva Kelensiomara, the Kodan Yoris.
So the first day when Your Holiness asked me, do we believe in the separation between brain and mind? I said, yes, I do. And sometime at home, I do the dishes. My wife cook, I do dishes. And I start to wash the dish and I forgot what I was doing. I was washing 10 minutes, 20 minutes, still washing. Then my wife come in and said, absent-minded professor. And so there's something in the mind. I do believe in what you said. Recently, they are twin, exact twin. They dressed a similar way, and artificial intelligence could not distinguish two twins. But mother come in and can tell immediately who's Mary, who is Susan or something. But scientific equipment could not do it. Take the picture, all the same. And there's something about the human interaction that is beyond, which appear on the surface. And I once was in China, going to Great Wall. Foreigner has to pay more. When I was working with my friend I didn't say a word. He looked at me and said, "You're a foreigner." I said, "Why?" He said, "Those who are born here will not hang such a silly smile." And so I think what he said was right, but somehow our silly smile shows that it's not related to the environment,
Local, yeah.
the situation.
단데 가다 야 된 투자자만으로 용외 돈은 보여요. 단디게 시키거든. 어.
So this time, we did learn a lot about Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist science, and your time, your space, time-space concept, and many other things.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I really think this beginning, last several time discussion, Buddhist science and modern science, mainly Westerner, and few occasion Russians. Now the Chinese scientist, this is first time. So I'm hoping, so now this is just a beginning. We carry discussion among the Chinese brothers, sisters, among the Chinese scientists, I think continuously. This reminds me, Karsa, they're not allowed to Karsa. Tsinghua Dasho. Tsinghua Dasho, one professor. We first met in America, the Washington Karsa Tsogoti,
Brookings Institution.
Brookings Institution, which is some professors from China also. So one professor from Tsinghua Dasho. And when I was in Peking, I also visited Tsinghua Dasho. So since then, you see, we become very close friends. So many occasions he come. So then one occasion, you see, we make some kind of hostel. Pledge.
No.
Proposal, pledge.
Pledge. Yeah.
Pledge. You see, in future, in his university, Tsinghua Dasho, you see, they're going to meet some kind of scientific meeting or something. So at that time, he going to send invitation to me, not Dalai Lama, not as a Dalai Lama, but scientist.
As a scientist.
So we already, you see, that kind of sort of thinking already there. So, but for the time being, you see, mainland China, no freedom, difficult. So only thing is professors or scientists from Taiwan. So eventually, I think there is possibility this kind of meeting in Taiwan, discuss. We'll say.
Yeah.
So in any way, I think now I think the right time. We must exploit the knowledge about mind, about emotion, which mentioned in Buddhist tradition. Really, I think worthwhile. Should not remain in the Buddhist text. And those Buddhist monks, they only carry prayer.
Chanting.
Kaza. Chanting. So now time come. Let them also more study. Then we can ask them.
Yes.
Otherwise, they simply carry chanting, no explanation. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we here few individual person, but we belongs a nation. Over billion population, and Taiwanese also is part of Han, the Hanzhou. So in many places, many parts of the world, also you say Han community there. So you are representing over billion sort of number of one human group, and traditionally Buddhist. So like Tibetan, see, you Indian are guru of both Hans and Tibetan. Truly, you see, we are student of the Nalanda tradition. As the first day I mentioned the very name of Lunsu Pusa, familiar. So there is real potential. Yes. Now here we are few people, but we are representing billions of people. Okay. Yeah. And that, not academic, but world passing through some kind of crisis of emotion. That emotion will not go away by prayer, but training our mind. In order to train our mind, we should have fuller knowledge about the whole system of our emotion and mind as an academic subject, not religious subject. Okay. Thank you.
So we will certainly welcome you in Taiwan, and we will initiate a continual discussion in Taiwan sometime.
Thank you. Now lunch, Marbe.
One by one. 等一下啊，你们等一下，我们那个。大家哈达。手机请放包包，然后等下全部交给我。
你们是不是从？是不是从看一下？等一下，我们一起跟尊者一起照个相。一起尊者啊，对，一起照相。
Amy and Susan. Presenters, if the presenters can come. Presenters, come inside. Let the presenters come. Can you step back? Let the presenters come. Can we step back? Can you come this side? Okay. Thank you.
下。